maximizing block trace throughput while bandwidth cluster is sharding. And we have said that our paper share the same topics as the previous one. We are both the sharding protocols. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, let's start with the motivation. So blockchain applications have attracted great attention in recent years, but they suffer from having low throughput. So compared to some central economic systems like Visa, which can process over 24,000 transactions per second, the blockchain applications can only process up to 20 processes per second. So the researcher or the community is searching for the reasons why the blockchain throughput is so low. Okay, so the first bottleneck is that blockchain applications usually have highly overlapping tasks because the miner have to reach a consensus and they have to replicate the entire ledger. And this leads to highly overlapping tasks, computation, communication, and storage. And furthermore, the throughput cannot scale with the number of miners, which means that if we have more miners, we cannot significantly increase the throughput. And the stragglers contribute to the second bottleneck. Because the miners are doing the overlapping tasks, the fast miners have to wait for the stragglers to synchronize the network. And so typically in the blockchain system, the throughput is limited by the stragglers. So we have talked about the sharding protocols, and these protocols distribute miner into different shards and enable different shards to maintain its own ledger. And furthermore, the total throughput can scale with the number of miners. However, the state-of-the-art sharding protocols overlook the second bottleneck because they all use a uniform shard formation to uniformly distribute miners into different shards, which means that each shard will contain some stragglers. So each shard's throughput is limited by the stragglers. So to simultaneously solve the first and second bottleneck, we propose a novel sharding protocol, which utilizes a bandwidth cluster shard formation mechanism to cluster the miners with similar bandwidths into the same shard. In this way, we can separate the fast and stragglers. We consider a simple scenario that we have 4 miners, including 2 fast miners and 2 stragglers. And when using the uniform shard formation, the left one, the fast miners and slow miners are located at the same shard. So we can only set a mining rate of 1 block per minute within each shard. However, if we use the bandwidth cluster shard formation, we can separate the fast and stragglers, and in the shards with all fast miners, we can set a much higher mining rate. And this idea seems to be naive, right? But in reality, it's really hard to achieve. That's because this uniform shard formation leads to another challenge that the adversary can concentrate its hashing power within one shard. And it can achieve an over 50% of malicious hashing power in that shard, and achieve an adversary majority in that shard. And we know no consensus protocol can work under the adversary majority. So to solve this problem, we propose sharing mining to ensure security as long as each shard has only 1 honest miner. And intuitively, we allow the honest miners to share their blocks across shards to diffuse their hashing power to other shards to enhance the security in those shards with few honest miners. So now I present our detailed protocol. In our protocol, we decouple a Bitcoin block into 2 types of block, including a consensus block and a transaction block. The consensus block, similar to the block header in Bitcoin, contains some essential information such as the hash value of the parent block and the Merkle root and the nonce value, while the transaction block, similar to the block body in Bitcoin, holds the entire ledger. We further decoupled a consensus block into 2 times, including an exclusive block and increase block. The main difference is that the exclusive block extends the trace in only 1 shard, while the increase block can extend all the longest trace across all shards. So to better demonstrate our protocol, I will give a simple example. Initially, the miner execute the proof of work to mine a consensus block, but they do not know whether they are mining an exclusive block or an inclusive block. And after the block is mined, it is classified as an exclusive block or an inclusive block based on its hash value. Specifically, we can set a threshold, and if the hash value of this block is greater than this threshold, it is classified as an exclusive block and is then only the trace in one shard. In contrast, if the hash value is smaller than this threshold, it's classified as an inclusive block and can extend all the longest trace across all shards. And intuitively, the sharing enables the honest miners to diffuse their hashing powers to other shards to increase the security in those shards with few honest miners. For example, before using the sharing mining, the adversary can concentrate its hashing power into one shard, the red one. And the honest ratio in that shard is very low. However, if we use the sharing mining, this shard can receive some increased block coming from other shards and ensure an over 50% of honest ratio. Okay. But we haven't solved all problems because due to the nature of the sharding principle, a miner is a light current towards other shards consensus, which means that the miners in one shard might receive some increased block coming from other shards, but he cannot download the associated transaction block. And without the full transaction block, the miners cannot verify the validity of the consensus block. And the adversary can utilize this to perform hashing power surrender attack to violate the security. So specifically, the adversary can propose an invalid consensus block 3 in shard 1. Because the miners in shard 1 know the transaction block, so they know this block is invalid. But the adversary can send these blocks to the miners in shard 2 because the miners in shard 2 do not download the full transaction block of this consensus block. So they will accept this block. And therefore, the honest hashing power is split because they are working on a different chain. To solve this problem, we utilize the flow proof and code democracy tree to verify the transaction validity and data availability of an increased block coming from other shards. And the miners can complete the verification without knowing the full history. Okay, and due to the time limit, I do not want to go into the details. Please refer to our paper for the comprehensive solution. Okay, and because completing verification requires a certain amount of time, and the miners have to wait for completing the verification, and this will significantly limit the system throughput. So we propose predicted mining, enabling miners to conduct the mining and verification simultaneously. So specifically, there might be some forks containing some unverified blocks. So if the next block is mined, it is extended on all these unverified forks. And when the miners receive these unverified forks, they will request the coded samples and flow proof simultaneously. And after completing the verification, the miners will reject those invalid consensus blocks. And if two different consensus blocks are verified at the same level, the miners only choose the consensus block with the smaller hash value as the correct one and prune the other. And eventually, only one consensus block can be verified at the same level. Okay, that's all for my protocol. And to validate our protocol, we conduct a comprehensive security analysis. Firstly, we present Sharding 1, which indicates that our protocol is very secure as long as the majority of the honest are honest. Majority of the miners are honest. And we also present Theorem 2 and prove that our protocol's throughput is scalable with the miners' bandwidth. And at the worst case, our protocol can achieve the same throughput as Bitcoin within each shard. Okay, in addition to the select analysis, we also validate our idea by doing experiments. We implement our protocol, a complete protocol with 50,000 lines of Rust code, and we evaluate on on real-world testbed. And because model size is the only sharding protocol that shares, say, or something with ours, such as they are both permissionless block trace and they can tolerate up to over 1/2 byzantine force. So we only compare our protocol with model size. And the first experiment shows that our protocol can achieve higher throughput and lower latency compared with a model size in the real-world testbed. Our second experiment evaluates the horizontal scalability of these two protocols, and the experimental result shows that our protocol can, as the number of miners increases, our protocol can achieve greater throughput increment. Our final experiment shows that with the same bandwidth resources, our protocol can achieve higher throughput. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Thank you for listening.
We have time for a couple of questions. Any questions? None? Okay, at a very high level, can you comment a little bit about the security assumptions that you make on your design? I can see there is simple majority assumption with adversary, but can you comment about that assumption and the guarantees?
Yes. Our paper makes the same assumption as all the baseline. As the Bitcoin, we only require the majority of the honest is greater than 50%. The majority of the miners are honest. This is only one assumptions we have make. It is say as Bitcoin.
Isn't that very strong assumption in light of the latency attacks, like minority majority 26%, hash split and whatnot from CCS a couple of years ago? Isn't that a very weak assumption that you are making, or actually a strong assumption?
Yes. This is the only one assumption make in all the consensus protocol.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it is outdated assumption because there are new kind of attacks that demonstrate that a majority is a very strong assumption. 26% of adversary power, hashing adversary power, can result in swaying the consensus.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Let's thank the speaker again.